All right. Welcome to United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey. Our last online only presentation before we start in back at the observatory in April. So next weekend, we're going to be having another rerun. Get those last minute finishing touches on the observatory. Be ready to welcome people back on site. And then April 6th is our first presentation back on site in Jenny Jump State Forest in Hope, New Jersey. So, with that, you can also check us out on our website, uacnj.org. That's where you're going to find a list of our member clubs because we're a club made up of other clubs, as well as information on the various telescopes and science we do like to do up there. In addition, you can check us out on our social media pages, our Facebook, our Instagram. We have a Discord channel. If you ever have any questions or just want to share those astro photos, those are great places to go do that. Um, so tonight's presentation is a little weird because we have never done it where we've done arts and crafts time in studio. So bear with me. I want to thank you all for joining us here. Specifically, we have Rocket Sage and Misadventures in Astro, both streamers on Twitch. So, and Matt, we are presenting solar safety and your eyeballs. So, and since it's going to be my first presentation, I get the wonderful chance to read my own bio because why not? Tonight, I'm Kim Trumpore. I've been involved in astronomy at United Astronomy Clubs in New Jersey since I started dating my now fiance, Chris. From there, it just kind of snowballed into a whole bunch of different responsibilities. As such, I'm now currently the Development Committee Chair at UACNJ, which means I'm one of the people trying to develop new programs to offer people, as well as make sure we stay funded enough to pay the bills. So tonight's program, special bonus, just in time for the coming eclipse on April 8th, 2024, all about solar safety and how to view the sun without destroying your eyeballs or equipment, as well as special bonus craft activity of making your own pinhole viewer. Thank you, Misadventures. So, we're going to get into the PowerPoint here. All right. There you go. You should see that PowerPoint now. Like I said, a little bit of solar safety. First, we're going to go over some basic types of eclipses that we can have. First off, we have a solar eclipse. That's where the moon passes between the Earth and the sun, and the shadow from the moon passes over the Earth. Next type of eclipse is a lunar eclipse. That's where the Earth travels between the moon and sun, and the shadow of Earth travels over the moon and blocks it out. The last kind of eclipse is the apocalypse, which occurs when the sun manages to get between the Earth and the moon. Uh-oh. I was told we have some technical difficulties. This is the waiting music. We good, guys? I'm just waiting for a confirmation that we're good. All right. Sorry about that. Like I said, there's going to be some interesting technical hiccups as we're dealing with a slightly different setup than we would normally. All right. So, as I was saying, the last types of eclipse we need to worry about is the apocalypse, which when the sun gets between the Earth and the moon and everything is on fire. We try and avoid that. Luckily, that Hasn't happened so far, and we'd like to keep it that way. Getting into safety tips. First tip, do not look directly at the sun, especially during the non-totality portions of eclipse. Now, okay, so we're getting slide lag is what I'm seeing. Okay. People are saying, or we're slow on some slides. So hopefully that. All right, hold on. Let's see. If I stop sharing the window, do you think that will help and reshare?
Worth a shot. Now it's updating quickly.
You said it's updating quickly now?
Or it's catching up.
Or it's catching up. Oh, that's always good to know. Where's the Teams window? I'm going to stop sharing that for briefly. And then I'm going to choose to share you the correct screen. I'm going to choose to share you the correct screen. And how's the lag now?
Watch it on yours. This is live.
Worst comes to worst, what I'll do is I will I'll go through things without the slideshow, because we don't need to keep you guys waiting for really random things. Like I said, we never try and look at the sun with our eyeballs or equipment without proper protection. You will damage something, your eyeballs or your equipment. There are plenty of images online of what damaged equipment looks like, where sensors are melted, because inside of a camera lens, there's optics that focus and amplify light, because that's the whole goal of a camera. And your eyes kind of do similar. Now, I pulled this from the American Optometric Association, where 5 seconds is how long it takes where you start to damage your eyes. And you're not going to feel pain or discomfort when when this damage is occurring, because your eyes don't really have your retina doesn't have the pain nerves. Instead, you'll notice visual symptoms within 4 to 6 hours. So it's not going to be you're immediately noticing the damage. It's going to be later on you notice the damage. And then some people even notice symptoms after 12 hours. If you are concerned that you have damaged your eyes from looking at the sun, some symptoms to look out for are going to be blurry vision, headaches, blind spot in your central vision, or in one or both eyes, and increased sensitivity to light where it's a prolonged problem. You can also get distorted vision, where, for example, if you're looking at a straight line like a ruler, it appears bent, or door jambs start to look wonky, and changes in the way you know that color is not quite right. So, yes, Miss Adventures, use the laser emotes. Safety tip: one eye. If you have damaged one of your eyes looking at the sun, or really damaged one of your eyes in any way. Don't look at the sun with your remaining eye. It's kind of a risk that you might want to be cognizant about. Just having no eyes seems problematic when you're used to vision. Coming to safety tip number 2, we're going to determine which safe solar viewing method you're going to use. You want to have an idea before you get out on site and go, man, I wish I could look at the eclipse and realize you don't have any way to view the eclipse safely. So some of these safe viewing methods, solar glass or eclipse glasses, usually they're the little cardboard thing with the solar filters in the eyes that you would hold up. A properly filtered telescope or pair of binoculars, which would be direct viewing methods. You can also have indirect viewing methods, which are pinhole viewing, which we're going to make one in a little bit, and optical projection. I chose pinhole viewing just for the fact of its simplicity and for me, it was least likely to damage my equipment. All right. So I do have some pictures here of ways to view, including a properly filtered telescope where you notice that solar filter is right on the end where the telescope would be collecting light. People have used colanders or anything with small holes to view the eclipse, and what will actually happen, which is pinhole viewing, you'll see the rough phases as the moon eclipses the sun or passes in front of the sun. We have a picture of those solar glasses and a build your own pinhole viewer in a box. Next tip. Once you've determined what your safe solar viewing apparatus is going to be, make sure you have made it or installed it correctly, or that you are going to use it correctly. For example, for eclipse glasses, when you have those glasses, you should be putting them on your face and covering your eyes before you ever think about looking at the sun. We're not going to look at the sun and then put the glasses on because you've just defeated the point of the glasses. So glasses on, look at the sun. No longer looking at the sun, glasses can come off. Glasses should cover your eyes. So if you're trying to wear your glasses down here by your nose, it's not going to work. Doesn't really help you. Again, defeats the purpose. And even though we are using the proper filtration, you're always going to give your eyes a break. Just because prolonged exposure can still cause damage. So we're looking at the sun briefly and then looking away and giving our eyes a rest. We're not sitting there staring at the sun for the entire event because we don't need even 30 minutes of staring at the sun straight. That seems exhausting. You should probably hydrate sometime during that 30 minutes. If you're using a solar filter on, for example, a telescope, binoculars, or a camera, you might want to take pictures of a solar eclipse. What you're going to do is install the solar filter on the end of the object that collects the light. So I don't have a solar filter on me right now because they're stored safely so they don't get damaged. But if this lens cap was a solar filter, we have the lens of the camera. We're installing it in front of the lens, which connects. And this is for a white light solar filter. There are other types of solar filters that have special use cases. But for those, I'm going to say follow the instructions that came with those filters for proper instruction. I do not have the information to properly inform you on those. In addition, we are not leaving. If you have this pointed at your son and you're taking like repetitive photos, you have it set up on a tripod where it's just going to watch the entire clips, we are not going to leave our equipment unattended because bad stuff can still happen. Your equipment, even though it's filtered, can overheat. The filter itself can become damaged. And then once the filter is damaged, you are definitely getting damage inside of your equipment. And I don't know about most of you, but I've spent good money on my telescope as well as my cameras. I don't want to have to pay to replace them. In addition, if you happen to have a camera or telescope with an additional optical viewer, for example, if your telescope has a finder scope or your camera has an optical little window where you could look through, we are going to make sure that it's covered and we are not looking through it because that part is not properly filtered and will also cause damage to your eyes and or your equipment. So, safety tip number 4. You have a solar filter, a white light solar filter for direct viewing. We need to make sure it's not damaged before we're looking at the sun through it. How can you tell if your solar viewer is not safe? The first thing we want to look for is that it is following the ISO standard. It is an international standard that they have set up for the safe rating of the solar filters. That being said, it's not going to lie, very easy to go and copy and paste that certification stamp off the internet on knockoff brands. So in addition, we're going to purchase those solar filters from a reputable source. So if we know it's coming from, if we're buying a solar filter from Celestron, we're good. Thousand Oak has also had good solar filters. We're doing it from a known brand where if we requested, they would be able to show us the lab certification of their products. So with a solar filter, a white light solar filter, you should not be able to see anything through the filter. If you can put that up and you can see your friend sitting across the table from you, or you can see around in your room and you can navigate through the room, it is not a good solar filter because it is meant to block out most of the light of the sun or something else that is comparably bright, such as the sun reflected off a mirror. So if you're seeing more than that, we have to be worried. If you put up your solar filter and you can't see anything through it, but you see a scratch where you can see light coming through, that filter, part of the filter has become damaged. So if you have a large enough filter where, for example, you went out and bought an 8.5 by 11 filter and there's a part over here, we're going to not use that part and make sure that is blocked off so there's no chance of the sunlight leaking through that crack and potentially causing us damage. If you have a large enough filter, you could use it, the rest of it. Many people are going to have the eclipse glasses, and if those become damaged, the filter is quite small, so you might want to purchase a new one and make sure we don't allow that to become scratched. So, next safety tip is one of the ones that I feel oftentimes can become overlooked. It's be aware of our surroundings. For example, we don't want to be solar observing in the middle of Route 80 or any major interstate. We want to view the sun, but let's do it safely and not become roadkill. Likewise, we're not walking and observing, nor are we not aware of the crowd and whatnot who is also likely going to be mesmerized by the eclipse. So, question here, can you still use a welding helmet? It is not suggested you use a welding helmet. For the fact there are ratings of welding helmets, and there is a certain rating. Above a certain rating, you get close to what a normal white light solar filter is. I forget what exactly that rating is. There would be ways to look that up. You also do not want to use a self-adjusting, one of the battery-powered ones where you can see through and then it automatically adjusts. That time in which it is adjusting is still leaving you unprotected. And God forbid that mechanism fail, you're now staring at the sun through a piece of glass. So if you are using a helmet, make sure you are using one of the proper rating. And I believe the ones with the proper rating are usually a special order item. They're not one you can that is usually readily stocked in stores. But like I said, I'm not well versed in welding helmet ratings. So always do your research, because even someone with the best of intentions can get something wrong. So with that is my brief safety briefing. We're going to get into the arts and crafts section, where we get to build a pinhole viewer. I'm just going to put my PowerPoint off to the side. So, what do we need to build a pinhole viewer? We need a box. I have this lovely box from Celestron from a Furscope. You can use any box you want. This happened to be the one I have. In addition, you'll need a sharp cutting up utensil. You might want a white piece of paper or cardstock, some foil just in case, some tape or glue, and there it is, and a pin. I'm going to stick that right there so I don't accidentally drop the pin and have it run away and then step on it, because I am not doing that tonight. So first thing we want to do, we have a box. We're going to decide which side we want the paper on. So I'm just going to take our piece of paper, and we're going to make it so that when we stick this in, actually, hold on, it will stay on our viewing area. Yeah. And I'm trying to do this so you can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm just sticking this on the back here, because after looking at the box I have chosen, I have determined this side has the least amount of potential light leakage. So I'm putting my piece of paper on the opposite of that side. And we're just going to kind of secure it in here. You don't need to use the paper, but it does give you a lighter surface for the light to show up on. And kind of gives you a target to look at. So with this, we have an open end. We have a couple of choices we can make. We can have this end kind of open where we can use the flaps to kind of close down and make it dark in there. Or we can close this up completely, make a slot in the side, and the pinhole over here. So I'm going to choose to make the slot in the side. So I am going to quickly tape the box closed here. And I'm going to cut out my viewing port. So I've determined my pinhole is going to be over here. So I'm going to make a flap with my box cutter or X-Acto knife, or just a knife in general. And I'm going to do it so that even looking at, I'm going to kind of shield myself from looking at the sun, because you don't want to try and get in there and look through the pinhole at the sun, because again, this would be unfiltered. So we have that. And now you can make a hole in the box, and sometimes that can work, where just punching the hole through the box will work. And let's see if I can line you up there. I have a really bright flashlight, pinhole light. There we are. So, how to get you lined up. So we're going to look towards the back at our thing, and you can see no light. We have a light. So trying to hold this because I am short and the camera is on the ceiling. So you can see the light there. Now, fun facts, since this is not the sun, it's easily controllable. We can turn our light into any shape we want. So, assuming I can hold this correctly. Let's line you up. I'm half tempted to have one of my friends off the screen hold you in the box and I'll shine the light. Can one of my taller friends come?
Here.
Okay, it is working. Oh, there we go. And when I align it correctly so the light's actually going through the pinhole, we can see I have changed the light from a circle to a star. Because that is fun. Because what we're working off of is actually very old technology, a phenomena known as camera obscura. So people found that when they were in completely darkened rooms, but one small crack of light was infiltrating through, for example, a set of drawn curtains, that an image from the outside was being projected on the outside wall. And that is the technology that we are using with this. If the hole gets too big, it doesn't have the same problem. So if, for example, you took a pencil and poked it and it was no longer functioning well as that technology, what you can do is make an even larger hole. And because we kind of want a very nice pinhole, aluminum foil is a great option. So we can take a piece of aluminum foil, and it does not need to be pretty aluminum foil, but we can take that over the bigger hole we've cut to hide our mistake. So if you've done this with a flashlight and realized, man, that just ain't gonna work, or that hole is really weird and ragged and giving me a weird look, again, we are firmly making sure this is completely taped down, so if we hold it weirdly, no light can get in from the sides. Now we have a nice smooth thing that will have smooth edges, and we can remake that pinhole. And you can do that indefinitely. Like I said, some people have used colanders just to look, and as you'll see the sun going, the moon passing across the face of the sun, you'll see on the ground when you're projecting that onto the ground, you'll see that it'll go from the full sun to progressively crescent, and then after totality, you'll find it becomes the eclipse. So, are there any questions? If not, I can always fill some time. So you can make viewers. So you don't. I did this way so in case you don't have money to spend on glasses, because as we do get closer to the eclipse, a lot of times glasses go out of stock, or the sources we can get for glasses do become more like, we don't want wish.com solar glasses. We do want to use solar glasses that will actually work and protect our sun or our eyes from the sun. There are people who, if you're handy with 3D printing, there are templates on, for example, Thingiverse, where you can make a ring to hold a solar filter. This is actually, one of my friends printed this for me, where the ring that fits over the scope, I will apply the solar filter and the ring to safely sandwich that solar filter and ensure there's no light intrusion on my scope, and be able to use my telescope. My telescope's large, so you don't have to use one this big if your scope is smaller. In addition, if you do have a larger scope and you're looking, wow, I don't have the money for a larger solar filter, because they are somewhat expensive, a lot of the lens caps on the larger telescopes do have an option to basically stop down the aperture, make that area where they can collect light smaller, so you can make do with a much smaller filter. Again, if we're filtering, we are putting it on the end of our telescope and making sure no light can intrude around the filter. This happened to be my telescope. This is actually a solar finder that my friend had 3D printed. If you're using a telescope, you can apply this to your telescope. Light will go in, and much like our pinhole projector, allow you to see fire. prior to me. I was trying to show it in the camera where they can. So, I'm short. So we have the hole at one end, which will light, much like our pinhole projector, allow light to pass through. Portable sun. Portable sun, doing portable sun things. That doesn't work really well. I'm trying to line you up so you can kind of see it on the back. This goes exactly opposite of the way you think it should on the camera, which I think is my main problem. I have to go right to go left. Inversion, it's fun. But you can use this as a way to navigate your telescope over to make sure you'll actually see the sun within your view of your properly, because it has no optics. You're not necessarily worried about it causing a fire because, again, back to the optics, the whole point of a camera, of binoculars, of telescopes, are all that they're gathering and concentrating light onto a single point. So we do not want to treat our eyes to the ant under a magnifying glass treatment, which that would surely be. And yeah, I don't really have too much more. Let me see. So, were there any questions? And it doesn't have to be on eclipse or solar viewing. It can be on even just general space astronomy or things at UAC&J. Bueller? I always like to give you guys a little bit of a chance because I know if there is a delay, and sometimes the various streaming platforms get twitchy, that I don't want to get a question after the fact that we don't get answered. So while I'm just giving you a couple minutes, I want to thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully, if you're in the area and can't travel to the Path of Totality, yes, I do. I was looking around the room, misadventures. I have my guys off the side that do help us put on these programs. And they're very instrumental to making sure things work correctly. Hopefully, if you're in the area, we see you either at one of our public programs. Like I said, we are located in Jenny Jump State Park in Hope, New Jersey. Our observatory, we have a few different telescopes. We are opening the site for public programs that are free, actually. So you don't have to spend money to get into the gate. You'll spend money on gas, but we're not going to charge you money to attend these programs. We do try and make it free and accessible to all. Like I said, every Saturday, April through October, unless weather's really, like we have a hurricane coming through. And even then, we will post on our website, uacnj.org, as well as our socials, our Facebook, our Instagram, if we have to move our program into an online only format. But that very rarely happens anymore where we have to do that. Like I said, do hit up our social media pages. We live stream these programs even when we're on site. So if you can't make it, do join us online in the chat rooms in Twitch and YouTube. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons because it does help us reach our goal. I know we had hit actually 500 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and someone unsubscribed. So last time I looked, we're at like 499 again. So hopefully we do reach that 500 subscriber mark again. You can also check out our Discord. Like I said, if you have any questions about telescopes, want to show off your setup or your astrophotography, or just have any general questions about observing and stargazing, we'd love to actually get those answered for you. And if we don't know the answer, hopefully direct you to a place where you can find misadventures. Where we have not made affiliate or partner on Twitch. We do. I say subscribers because that is what YouTube does for that free like, follow, subscribe button. All of those are free actions on YouTube. If you happen to miss a presentation, you can also check out our archive on YouTube because we keep all of our past presentations that are not reruns on there available to you. So if there's information that you're not sure of, you want to check back, or you're just like, oh, I forgot it was Saturday, you can always check us there. Send us a comment, any questions. I do check them periodically and try and get those answered. With that, I want to thank you guys for another great night. Hopefully, until we see you next time, either at the observatory, at our eclipse event, because we are opening April 8th for the eclipse. The observatory, unfortunately, is not in the path of totality. We are in the 90 to 95% band, but we want to stay open for people who cannot, for reasons, travel to the path of totality. So, we want to be open to offer you free and safe ways to view the eclipse. In addition to that, there's nothing, because I have lost that train of thought. With that, have a good night and clear skies and good seeing until we see you.